we're going to be talking about the document management module, part of ImagineTime. You'll start by setting it up, buying a license from ImagineTime. You can get that simply by calling us on the phone, and we will give you the password that allows this checkbox to engage, and that immediately turns the document manager on. The first step in using the document manager is to come here to the document management setup wizard. The first step of the document management wizard is to choose a location where you want to build your folders. Ideally, the location will be somewhere everyone can access, and it will be an empty folder. The program will create a folder called ImagineTime Files Do Not Edit to contain all of your ImagineTime folders. The reason for this is simply to have a folder that identifies outside of ImagineTime that this is a managed folder location. So the first thing we're going to do is pick that location to build our folders and go to the next step. The second step determines which folders you're going to build. Do you want them for clients, contacts, and/or staff? And as you make selections over here, you'll see this browser control change to reflect those changes. So if we want to have a containing folder for clients, we're going to use the main folder here, and that corresponds, of course, to this folder. Without that, our clients and staff will just mix together. So we're going to use clients and staff. We can also add in client types, and you see immediately this breaks out into different client types. We can use A to Z, and that's based on the first letter of the name of the folder. If you have a lot of folders to be built here, we recommend using these different dividers. The reason for that, of course, is the same as it is in Explorer, and that is if you have 1,000 folders lying underneath here, it takes a little longer for it to build itself in the viewer than if you have just 10 different client types for it to build. But that's entirely up to you. Okay, so you've chosen which folders to be selected, and this, of course, is related to the naming of the folders themselves. You can do them either by name, by ID, or a combination of the two. We move on to the next step. This step allows you to build subfolders underneath those folders. So for each client, we're going to build a subfolder structure that looks like this. For each contact, which we aren't actually using, not currently being built, so that's irrelevant. Staff's folders will look like this. Now we can create new ones simply by right-clicking on the folder and typing in a new name for the folder. So if we want to build some subfolders there to break that up, we might want to do the same up here. And perhaps we want to get rid of this folder. It's just that easy. We can remove that. Maybe we want to have it look more like that. The other part of this step is assigning keywords to these folders. And you can see the new ones are creating new keywords. This listing here is of the keywords that are currently in the database. This list links up the folder, and as you select it here, it'll select it here, so you can see which one we're talking about. This analysis folder has a keyword of analysis. If you wanted to change the keyword assigned to that folder, you'd simply type in a new word here, and that would become the new keyword for that folder when we save the wizard. But for our purposes, you see you can come through here, select the folder, see which one we're talking about, or vice versa. Click on it here and it'll highlight the folder down here. The keywords are being used in the browser control to let you quickly filter your folder view, so that if you come in and you're only looking for correspondence on clients for the year 2009, that would give you a filter attached to that folder and would give you a browser control that only showed those folders, so that you didn't have to dig through all the other folders to get to it. These keywords can be whatever you like, and eventually you can have up to 3 on any given folder. This is just the primary setup. You can also choose not to have a keyword at all. So you could clear the keyword out of that folder if you like, or put it back on. Okay, next step. We're all done. We're ready now to either build the directory or to save it and just build individual clients and staff if we choose to. Let me show you that first. The selective build gives us a listing of all of the clients who do not have folders built yet. And in our case right now, it's going to be everybody. We can toggle here and see which staff need folders built. This utility works very well if you're trying to have one administrator control the folders that are being built. So periodically maybe you come in and set them up for just the clients who need folders, and don't set them up for your entire database. It also keeps track of anybody who got skipped for whatever reason. Now the building of folders is just as easy as click the checkbox to select that person and build the folder. That's all that was involved in that. And I'll bring this across, and you can see that the clients folder has been built, and that particular client is now in here along with all of the subfolders that they should have. So the entire branching is done just that quickly. Now if we would like to build all of them, we simply click on the build all. Now I'll do that at this point, and you'll see that this process creates a directory. It won't duplicate any folders that already are there, and it will not delete anything. All it does is create new folders where the folders should be and aren't yet. And if you want to watch that being done, you can see here as those clients are being built. Pretty soon we'll have a staff folder show up there. And this is also showing us the progress of that. You can cancel the building. You can come through the wizard multiple times, and it will simply add what wasn't there already. And that's it. The build's successful. We also have the step 5 before you go to choose how to build for entering new clients, contacts, or staff into the system. You can have it build no folders. You can build automatically without any notice every time somebody's added, or you can have the program prompt so that it will simply ask, do you want to build folders for this person? We can also enable, disable security for the document management. There's some rudimentary security. You can block people from deleting folders or files or renaming them or creating new ones. You can block particular groups of people from seeing folders that have been built if you have some folders that you want to keep somewhat private. Keeping in mind, of course, that a person can always come here and see the folders through the regular Explorer. We don't do anything about setting security up on this folder or its access outside of ImagineTime. If you need that kind of security setup, you need to come through your normal security into your properties, into your security, and set the folder up that way as well. So that's the wizard. You'll see now that because we've done this wizard now, this front page will have changed. Your records show that you already have a directory structure built. You can use this wizard, as I said, more than once. You can also start over simply by clicking on the utility to clear the database records and clear existing records. Now this utility will ask you for a password to do this because it's a pretty dramatic change. But you can simply call us for that password if and when you need that. that utility also does not actually delete folders in your system. You would still need to come here and just click on the folders and press your delete key to get rid of them. One last thing before we leave the wizard. If you come back in, after having already built the folders, if you decide that you want to make changes, perhaps you want to add contacts, you could come in here and simply add the contacts at this point. And as I said before, when you go to the build, it'll simply add whatever folders aren't already there. So in this case, it'll add the contact folders in. The wizard saves these changes at only particular points, either when you press the build buttons, because it makes the assumption that whatever changes you've put in are the ones you're trying to build with, or by pressing the finish button, which also makes the assumption that you're planning to save the changes you've made. If you simply click your close, it's going to alert you that we have made changes. The contacts are now included and we're using main folders for the contacts. Would you like to save these changes? We have a choice here. If we simply click no, those changes will be discarded. So you can come in here and play with the wizard without actually building anything, and you can play with it without actually changing anything. Now that we have the wizard completed, we can come into the regular client contact manager, and every client who has folders will now have a folder path listed here at the base. If we simply click on the document management button, that pulls up the main interface for the document manager. With that client selected, that client's folders selected, and underneath here is really a file browser. So if we had files in these folders, they would show up down here. I think the only files that I have in this directory are out here at the root. But now if we click on them, we can preview those files over here in the screen previewer. There's also an interface to preview and edit Office documents. You have an option here to edit this in the originating program, or to simply double click on this preview screen and drop into edit mode here. You'll notice now that we have the ribbon from Microsoft Word, and our document has become editable. And you can also just double click on files here and have them open up in their corresponding application. So this would open up as a PDF, just like that. We can also do some searches. These are those keywords that we were looking at earlier. So if we do that and refresh the directory, you see now we're looking at staff, and they're 2009 folders. Any folders that have 2009 keyword, and you see now we've got those. You can also search here for any files. You can use the extensions if you're looking for a particular type of file, and it'll list whatever it finds in that entire directory down here. Clicking on those will select it up here. If it's a file, it will select it there, select it here, and also put it into the preview for you to take a look at. You can also zoom these things around. You can do some magnification if you want to be able to see it up closely. PDFs that are more than one page, you can scroll through the paging. You can also open a file from outside of your managed folder directory so that you can preview it here as well. The Manage Folders screen, if we put it on the Manage Folders, it now will let you copy folders across, you can move folders, you can create a link to folders. So if, for instance, I had a folder for this staff person out on one of my other network drives, I could create a link to it simply by selecting on the folder. Well, let me do this and create a link. That's just a notification that it did that. So now you see we have a link to that folder here. You can also move a file if you like. Copy that file across. Create a new folder and give it a new name. And assign it a keyword. Just like that. You can also create new keywords down here. Add a new keyword to the list. Or assign keywords. So if I wanted to further identify this folder, I could give it 3 different keywords so that on those searches it would come up for that. You can set security for the folders, or you can set security for the program. For the program, you can restrict these options by security types. So these are our basic built-in security groups in ImagineTime. They should look familiar. The system manager, supervisor, and staff. We want to have staff not be able to go to the security or create or delete. How about that? Save the program settings. Now everybody can do everything except for staff. Security levels can't do these 3 things. You can also set security for individual folders or for an entire group of subfolders. So if I had, for instance, all of my correspondence subfolders, I don't want staff to see. There we go. Now staff won't be able to see correspondence folders. And double click to clear that selection and come back and just do individual security folders. The Document Manager also has built into it a group of utilities that can be accessed through the ribbon. Some of these come up as pop-ups on the wizard in particular. If, for instance, you're trying to build client type folders, but there are some client types that aren't assigned or are incorrect, it will pop you up to this screen where you can quickly repair client types. This is going to show me only those clients who have problems, and I don't have any. Or I can show all. I can do different sorts, and I can find the problem client type. Simply assign a client type to them, or create a new client type right through this screen. There's another repair utility for names. Oftentimes when you're building folders using the client names, and somewhere in the database there's a client who doesn't have a name, the program will alert you to that and give you the opportunity to come in here and create a name for them. So it's a quick way around that. The maintenance delete screen you've already seen clears out the database of any document management records. And the maintenance edit screen does a similar thing where it does a string replacement. So if we were changing the path for our folders, for instance, we brought a new network server online and we wanted to change the path from our F drive to T drive, we could simply come in here and do that. And every time that the program in the database found this path, it would quickly change it to that. And with a push of a button, then your entire directory would now point to the other network drive. So that's a quick way of doing that. This utility allows you to fix broken paths. So if we came in here, for instance, and we took this folder and let's rename it. Okay? Now, we'll see this client pop up here now with a broken link. And you can see, although it takes a moment to read this, this is a pathing that leads to this client. Here are their valid links. These are all good, but we have a broken link. So if we click on that broken link, and we can see the path that it's trying to use, and we go to the path where it actually is. Ah, there it is. Or maybe it's somewhere completely different. In any case, we browse to that location and we sync them back up. Now you see there are no broken links. Everybody's happy. It's just that simple. You can also export that list in case you end up with a whole bunch. You could take a quicker look at it. And this is the selective build that we looked at earlier, where anybody who needs folders who doesn't already have them in the database would list out here. Contacts are not chosen here because we didn't select contacts. There is an email component. It builds on top of the ImagineTime emailer, so any templates you already have in your system will show up here. You can pick a client or multiple clients based on either their email address or their client name. If we pick a client, we can see all the email addresses we have on file for them and select who it is that we want to have an email sent to. Just that easily. And then select the file from our browse control. And attach. And you can encrypt or password protect it. That file or multiple files, you can grab a group of them and put them on there. And then write your note or use a template that pre-fills everything and send the email off. There is a right-click option on the Contact Manager screen. You can right-click to do the send email, and it'll quickly jump you to that screen with that client chosen, their folder chosen. The other major component of the document management module is a built-in scanner. You can simply select the client either from the drop-down at the top or from the browse control underneath. Select the folder you want to put the scan into. And you see we have this scanner attached. We can do that and select another one. I want to stay with a Twain scanner is what's required. We can also bypass the scanner's interface and choose our own scanning settings, resolution and all of that, but I'm perfectly happy with my scanner. So we can provide a name here, or we can leave it blank and the program will provide a name and an option to rename it as it saves it. You can also add a prefix, so if you know that you want to have the client's name before every scan, we can do that. We can save this as a PDF, or you can save it as an image file with a couple different options there. PDF also has the option to become OCR applied, which makes it searchable. We're going to scan and preview, and because we're using the scanner's controls, it's going to give us a chance to do that pop-up as well. And when the scan is completed, it'll put the preview here. Now we can rotate and we can zoom. But right now we're still in a preview mode, so we can save this preview. And there it is. Now the neat thing about this is now you can drag and drop. And we can zoom in 100%, or we can zoom in different levels. We can also drag and drop any other file into here. We can open up any other PDF and be able to flip through it with all of the normal PDF controls. including the right clicks with zooms and left clicks. So you can have a lot of options here, and once this is here, we can choose to save this. Let's say we wanted to give this manual out into 3 different folders. It would be just that simple. And you'll see that the scan now is in all 3 directories. Just that quickly. You can also do a multi-page auto feeder, assuming that your scan supports that. You can save those multi-pages as either one file or as multiple files, 1 page each. You also have a duplex option where you can do the 2-sided. And again, it'll ask you about naming if you need to name it. Let's try that. If we don't provide a name, it'll also double check before it saves it to make sure that you're not overwriting a file that's already there. And again, we can drag and drop and see the preview. And there we go. You can also right-click on these folder browse controls and have all of the controls available, all of the menu items available that you would through the normal Windows Explorer. Pretty easy then to open it up in its parent application simply by right-clicking and choosing Open, and there's the scan that we just took. And the final little tool that's available as part of the doc management is one that builds quick Word document or Excel spreadsheet. And if you find your client, it'll jump to that client's folders, and we can create a Word document. And it'll open it up, and you can just begin typing. Click that, and now our file is here. Once again, you can right-click, you can open, edit, print, or delete. Simply click on it and hit your delete key, and it'll delete that file for you. That's basically an introduction to our document management module. We are always adding new features, hoping to add some subfolder templates that you can assign to client types, add some more features to the scanning, and as always, we welcome client response and input in what matters to you. We try to be responsive in what we add to the program to meet your needs. So thank you for taking the time to look through that today. Feel free to give our support line a call at 877-520-1525 or 828-248-3121.